Hi, my name is Kirsten. I'm the Problem Solving Teacher and Teachers Pay Teachers author. If you like my videos, please remember to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell down below, and leave a comment on my videos. It lets other teachers like you find me on YouTube. Today we are talking about 5 content planning tips to create a year of content. Content is an important part of an online business. The content a business creates builds an audience, engages customers, and builds lifelong clients. Creating new content on a regular basis is a huge task. Imagine if you could get all of your content planning done in just a day or two. When I first started my online business, I didn't have a plan for the content I would create. I knew I should start using Instagram, create a blog, try out YouTube, and anything else I heard about. But I didn't have a plan. That meant I was relying on coming up with ideas in the moment when I was creating it. Or I would grab an idea from a list and hope that it kind of sort of worked out. In my personal life, I've discovered that if I don't plan and schedule, I don't get much done. It's much easier to sit around and relax than do stuff. It's hard work to pack up a toddler for a big day trip or clean the house. Relaxing is just easier. The same is true with content creation. It's so much easier to start next week, get to that next week, and wait to create content to put it into the world. Most people will not actually successfully complete content if they don't have a plan, and creating a schedule is work in itself. Like, you need a plan. You're just not going to get there on your own. Brainstorming is a huge part of creating content, and you need to have a way to record all of those wonderful brainstorming ideas. It may seem silly, but it's important to keep your ideas accessible, findable, and easy to add to. Because I promise you, if it's not easy, when you get a new idea, it's gonna be gone. There are so many ways to record your ideas, and none of them are right or wrong as long as it works for you. I've gone through several different versions in just the couple of years that I've had my business, and you probably will too. Here are a few old school ways that you can record your ideas. Notebooks, scraps of paper, sticky notes. I mean, you can use your hand, you can use a napkin, as long as you get the idea down and don't lose it. Digital content planning ideas. You can use spreadsheets. You can use a word processor program. You can use an app that's available to you on your phone. As long as you have your computer, you don't need anything extra fancy. As long as you have access to your computer, you have access to your ideas. There are so many other online programs that you can download to your computer or use online. You can use it on your phone. It's a space to record your ideas. The benefit of online programs is that you can access it from anywhere as long as you have your login information. So you'll notice that I kind of separated things that where you just need your computer or just your phone from those where you are going to be able to access those ideas from anywhere. So let's see, there's programs like Asana or Trello, and those programs will help you plan out your whole business. I know Trello has a free version. I'm not sure about Asana. Probably they have a free version that kind of shows you what you get and has limited capabilities. Google Sheets, completely free. Google Docs, completely free. Google Keep, or another app like Evernote, where you can kind of record all of those ideas and checklists. At this point, after I've gone through several different versions, I prefer to keep my ideas in Google Sheets. I have found the spreadsheet format works best for me, even though I hate spreadsheets, but that is what is working best for me. I like being able to use the columns and categorize ideas. I like that I can easily move the cells around and make a quick list. I like that I can duplicate an entire sheet and recreate similar things for the next month without redoing all the typing, just some of it. Next, it's important, once you know how you're going to record those ideas, reserve time to brainstorm. A huge part of running a business is time management, and it's not just about using the time you have well. It's about planning what tasks you will do during which blocks of time you have free. You need to pick 1 or 2 days and you need to brainstorm. This was so hard for me last year when I was like, okay, yep, I'm just planning out my year. I'm not going to create anything new. I'm not going to write anything. I'm just going to plan parts of my year. It's really hard to put all of those other tasks aside. But it's really helpful to let your brain generate those ideas. Giving your brain room to breathe and create will help you think of more ideas because you're not letting it think about everything else. Draw inspiration from others. So as you're brainstorming your ideas, it is okay to look at what other people have created. But it's not okay to copy them. Do not copy them. One thing that I do when I'm looking for ideas, if I'm really stuck, is I'll look at what some other people have created for ideas. I'll usually just look at the title and maybe their description, and then I don't watch the video, and I don't watch it on purpose because usually the title and description is enough to spark an idea for me, because I don't want to copy them, and my ideas and my experience are going to be different from theirs. So, just getting that inspiration to get started can be really helpful. But make sure that you're not copying. Don't go there. Content planning tips about organizing ideas. So once you have recorded your ideas, it's a good idea to break them into categories of some sort. It makes it so much easier for you to find your ideas when you need them. So take some time to organize them. I often like to take my blogs and my YouTube videos and I like to run series. So this year you might have noticed that I did a series all about blogging. I did a series all about organizing your business. So I kind of like to run those in series because that way my brain can kind of generate more ideas about those bigger ones, and those videos build off each other, and it's easier to work that way when you have like one topic you're kind of thinking about through a few videos. So having them already categorized makes it easier for me to do that. Another great thing about organizing your ideas is it can help you think of new ideas, which I said. It's like when you reread your essay when you're stuck, and you reread it and then suddenly you're like, oh yeah, that's what I want to come next. When you're categorizing your ideas, you might be like, oh wait, now I can do this with it too. So now that you have a whole bunch of ideas, they're broken into categories, they're recorded in a good place, you have more work to do. You have to figure out when you're going to do what. You have to know if you have enough ideas for the year or close to it. So I start to plan when I will create each kind of content. I make a new spreadsheet, or I add a tab to my current spreadsheet, and I put in all the dates. So for YouTube, I put down every Sunday for the year, and I put in all of those dates, and then I start to assign ideas to dates. I take care of the ideas that would fit a particular season first. So if any of my content is seasonal, which is usually more for my blogs than this, I create that seasonal content first. And then or mark where it's going to be first. And then after I do that, I kind of do what makes sense to me. So then I might take a month and I might work on blogging. And I might take a month and I might work on YouTube ideas. I might take a month and work on, something else. So I kind of can block off, a week, a month or two at a time with particular ideas. This lets me see if I have enough ideas for the year or not. It doesn't take too long because I've already been recording my ideas on my computer, so I mostly have to copy and paste those over to a different spot. So it's usually pretty quick. And since I've already categorized them, that also makes it quicker because oftentimes I can do like 5 cells at a time and move them over. You can do all of this with a paper calendar too. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no reason for you aren't like stuck with my method. I'm just sharing what I do. But I do really believe in planning your content. Leave room for alterations and additions. So there are definitely spots on my calendar last year I did not plan like every single week. But as I was going, I knew things would change. So if I had like, you know, if I planned for like almost 2 months of stuff all about blogging and I had one spot left, I left it open. And I would start my next topic the next month because I knew as I was writing my blogging information, I'd probably get another idea for blogs and I could fill that in there. So remember to be flexible. Remember to leave room for things to change. Remember that as you're working and diving into research, you might find more information that you want to include. All right. Now we're going to talk a little bit about your schedule. Scheduling drives content creation. If you don't like scheduling, then you need to find something that's going to keep you on track. Some program, some app, some calendar, something that will get you there. Blog, videos, social media, and podcasts all need to be posted consistently, okay? Consistency is the key to being successful in the online space. I am so proud of my YouTube videos because they have been so consistent. I think I've missed 1 week, just from like sickness and other stuff going on because I plan so far ahead. But sometimes life does get the better of you. But for the most part, for almost 2 years, I put out a YouTube video every Sunday, which is super consistent, and I'm really proud of that. So I think that, 1 or 2 weeks here and there is not going to kill me. But the more consistent you are, the better. Schedule things ahead. Schedule as many pieces of content ahead as you can. Almost everything online now can be scheduled ahead of time, so take advantage of that because it's going to help you out when you forget or life gets too busy. And that's the reason why I've only missed a week or two, because most of my content is planned out. The other part of content planning is to make sure that you schedule days and times on your calendar to work on it. I block out an entire week for blogging, and I block out basically my weekends to work on YouTube videos. You need to have dedicated time where you're going to create your content, or you're going to say, I'll start next week. Okay, so I hope these tips for content planning have been useful for you and that you can get yourself on track to start creating some consistent content in the areas that you want. Make sure that you are planning wisely. If you have some other great ideas that you'd like to share with everyone, please leave them in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Have an awesome day.
All right, the next book I read was Getting Good with Money. This book was phenomenal, motivational, inspiring, and it made me a little bit jealous. This lady talks about how she and her husband learned how to be financially free, meaning they paid off everything. They have no car payments, they have no mortgage payment, and it's all off of her husband's salary, his alone, of $42,000 a year. They do live in, I think it was Georgia, but like down south in that area. So of course, how much you make and how much the cost of living is depends on where you are in the country. But I still thought it was amazing what they were able to achieve when they really got organized and worked with their money. And since I read this book, I have been trying to take small steps to move my family closer to being able to live like that. So it's definitely a fantastic book. I completely recommend that you pick it up, read it, and start to try to use their wisdom in your own life. Boundaries is the next book I read. So this book is a Christian-based book. So if you are not religious, you may not want to read it. However, I did find it very helpful. We often have trouble setting boundaries in our own lives. Somebody asks you to do something extra that's not really part of your job. You often say yes. Your family wants you to do something and you feel guilty, so you feel like you have to. This book kind of gets to the root of why we have trouble with boundaries, why we have trouble saying yes or no to things, how we can start setting boundaries, and how it is biblically based. It's okay to set boundaries. There's no reason for us to feel guilty for setting boundaries. So this book really does a great job of breaking that down. So if you're someone who has boundary issues, maybe you want to pick it up no matter what your religious beliefs are. All right, the next book I read, and honestly, I never would have picked this book up if it wasn't just free on my library. I never would have thought, hey, this is going to be a great read. I'm really going to love this. It's called Hug Your Customers. And this book is about the man who wrote it. His father started a business, a clothing business, nice menswear, after a few years after he had a heart attack. So he was doing the corporate grind, he had a heart attack, having health issues from doing the 9 to 5 all the time with something he didn't love, the commutes, the craziness. And so ultimately, all of that led him to start his own clothing business. And in that clothing business, he made sure he knew his customers. Like Starbucks talks about, oh, we know our customers, and I worked for Starbucks, and I would know my customers. I'd see them walk in the door. I could make their drink. I would know them. I would have conversations with them. They knew about my life. I knew about theirs. I knew my customers. Not all of them, but enough of them. Their philosophy went so deep as they have, now we hear about Target having databases, and Target, Target created this system where they have a database, and I read this in another book, they kind of find out like, oh, well, you're starting to buy this stuff by having like those rewards cards. You're buying this stuff, so you must be having a baby. So we should be sending you coupons for this now. And then you get the coupons and you're like, ooh, I'm going to shop at Target. Look what they just sent me. And Target has gotten a lot of praise for creating the system. However, this company did it back in the 80s. They created their own software. They paid someone a bunch of money to create their own unique software so that they could keep track of their customers, the spouses, the kids, the pets, major life changes. And it went so far as, say the wife came in looking for, some things, and one of the things that the associate saw her looking at was just eyeing a really nice necklace. And then when the customer leaves, when she leaves, they might call the husband and be like, hey, your wife was just looking at this and Valentine's is coming up. What do you think? Do you want to get it for her? I was like, that's amazing. That's completely amazing. So there is a lot of amazing ideas within this book that can be applied to any business. So it's surprising how fascinating the small chain, family-owned business of men's stores is, but it was a really great read. All right, the next book I read was The Highly Sensitive Child, and I read this more on a personal note. My son has sensory issues, and after reading this book, I think he is a highly sensitive child. I think that this is a great book for any teacher to read because we all know those students who are more, they call it, in this book, they call it pause and check. Those students who kind of step back, assess the situation, really think about it, and once they determine that it is safe, that they can participate, that they want to do it, then they will participate. So there's highly sensitive children, there's highly sensitive people. It seems like a fake term, but it completely describes my kid. Like, it can be something he wants to do, but he will wait 20 minutes, half an hour, weeks before participating because he is waiting to see if it is safe and trying to decide if he wants to do it. And some of the things that this book talks about, like very sensitive to loud noises and things like that, that we might think of as sensory processing, could actually be high sensitivity and be a highly sensitive child. So it was really valuable to me as a parent, but it can also be really valuable to teachers. The next book I read, and I read it once and then I played it again. This book was so good that I listened to it once, and then as soon as it was done, I put it on and listened to it again. This book is called The Compound Effect. And basically this book talks about, in business, in life, that every time we work a little bit towards something, we are taking compound, like we're compounding interest on that thing we're working on, and it's going to grow and we're going to get more capable and we're going to be able to do more. So as you are becoming a better writing teacher, you are gathering more lesson ideas, you are getting more used to teaching it, you are just getting more skilled and practiced, you can find the kids' mistakes faster, and you're suddenly, rather than being the new teacher, you've taken all of your knowledge, you've compounded it, and you've made something new. If you're trying to lose weight and you decide that you are going to, trade out one snack for a veggie snack each day. So instead of having the afternoon chips or afternoon coffee, you decide that you're just going to eat some carrot sticks. And that's going to be your snack for the afternoon. And when you do that over years and years and years, suddenly, wow, you've started to lose some pounds. And he gives you the exact numbers of like how that type of action breaks down. So when you start making positive changes, it's going to grow positively. And then he also goes into the negative. So, because we can kind of coast along in life, but then if we start making some positive changes, we're going to see positive results eventually. It takes time. If we start making negative changes, we're going to see negative results eventually. So maybe we don't put in our all in work and we don't get all the raises we want, or we don't get invited to the special retreat, or we don't get invited to do the big project that's going to lead to a promotion, or maybe instead of eating a healthy breakfast, we always just grab those really sugary granola bars, and we do that every day, whereas we used to eat a pretty healthy breakfast and then we started to move towards the sugar because it's faster, and suddenly we're gaining weight and we don't know why. Everything we do in life compounds. I found it inspirational and motivating to try to stay on the right path and the right track for things that I read it 2 times. All right, so those are the books that I read during the second quarter of 2022. If you need links to them, check out my show notes. The link to my show notes is down in the YouTube show notes, but there's basically a full blog post all about these books. Make sure you check them out, download them, read them on Audible, read them free at your library, wherever you want to read them. And yeah, that's it. Tell me about some great books that you've read recently. I'm always looking for book recommendations, and if it's available in audiobook, that's bonus points. All right, have an awesome day.